Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In 2014, over 2 million animals were killed in efforts to resolve human-wildlife conflicts in the United States alone, and coyotes are one of those targeted species. My name is Yashphe Kubotera. My colleague Dr. Yashphe and I will be speaking about how integrating animal welfare into policy allows people to address the conflicts involving wildlife while sparing the life of the animal. I will first explain why allowing the creation of policy is an essential step from moving from compassionate conservation theory to practice. And this is better illustrated through our two examples. I will first present on the Long Beach, California policy, which implements lethal measures when dealing with human-wildlife conflicts. My colleague will then go into the Oakville, Canada example, where they have successfully integrated animal welfare into their wildlife policy. She will then compare and contrast the two policies and wrap up with the key components that should be incorporated in the compassionate policy. So why policy? Educating individuals on the importance of animal welfare and the need for compassionate solutions is the essential from moving from theory to practice and changing behaviors. So creating formalized policies is necessary when you really want behavior change. And this is best represented in the case of Blondie. Blondie was a frequent visitor of a local high school, and there were reports saying that she was growling and approaching high school students. And this warranted immediate response from the local authorities. But what is the best response in this situation? Well, this depends on where Blondie happens to live. Long Beach, California is a fast urbanizing city, and this forces coyotes like Blondie to be in closer proximity to humans, which instigates more interactions between the two. And this warranted for creation of a coyote management plan. And there are three components in this program: education and outreach program, online monitoring systems, and a tiered response protocol. So the education is focused on preventing people from directly feeding the coyote and avoiding potential coyote attractants, such as leaving pet food outside, and implementing proper hazing techniques to change the coyote's behavior. And hazing is also known as fear conditioning, as it promotes behavioral change through negative reinforcements, such as bright lights, spraying water, and loud noises. And this is essential because it has been shown that appropriate human response is an effective way of preventing and managing human-wildlife conflicts. And by reinstilling that fear and making sure that coyotes doesn't have any incentive to come any closer to humans is a great approach. The online monitoring system allows residents to report any coyote sightings. The map that you see on your right indicates where all the encounters have occurred, and the various colors represent different scenarios. This allows Animal Control Service officers to locate coyote hotspots, which are areas that most frequently encounter coyotes. In their efforts to hand out flyers and hold educational classes, those coyote hotspot areas are focused on. And the last component is the predetermined tiered response protocol. The blue indicates the least aggressive response, while the red indicates the most aggressive. And this allows Animal Control Service officers to determine what kind of approach is appropriate. So depending on the presence of humans and the frequency of pet attacks or the aggressive behavior, the Animal Control Service officers can determine if hazing or killing the coyote is appropriate. However, if the coyote is sick or injured, lethal removal is mandated. But does it make sense to lethally remove the coyote for most of these scenarios? So let's examine this program. When using firearms to remove coyotes, it's very dangerous in an urbanized setting as it puts citizens at risk. So this forces the officers to trap the coyote first. And this requires trained personnel. So in Long Beach, when you hire a professional trapper, it can cost up to $5,000 for just 2 weeks of their services. And also, coyotes are very stealthy creatures. They're very hard to catch. So animal control service officers can spend thousands of dollars with no outcome. And this may not be the most effective way when trying to address these kinds of conflicts. Studies have shown that when you remove a coyote, it decreases competitions within the species. And then within 8 months, the population of coyotes will rebound to pre-removal levels because the coyotes are producing more pups. And coyotes are also wanderers. So when you take out a coyote from a certain area, it makes it available for another coyote to inhabit it. So prevention is a more effective approach, and through a well-rounded education that engages the entire community. But the education program that Long Beach holds is localized to only the hotspot areas, so not the entire municipality may know or remember to not directly feed the coyote or avoid potential coyote attractants, such as leaving the pet food outside, or how to implement proper hazing techniques, which makes it ineffective. So the animal control service officers are forced to respond to situations that could have been prevented in the first place, which makes this program more reactive and not preventative. And thus, the public gets frustrated. They have been asking the animal control service officers to address this situation to no avail. So the political support for this particular program decreases. And lastly, animal welfare is not considered in this program. When in traditional conservation policies, the economical, effective, and political support are always incorporated. However, why not the animal welfare component? Studies show us that animals are sentient beings, and thus their lives should be valued and considered when we are creating such policies. So their lives are not wasted trying to achieve a goal that can't be reached. So if Blondie the coyote was a resident of Long Beach, she would have been killed with no justified reasons. So is there an alternative to such conflicts mitigations?
Thank you, Lisa. Well, there is an alternative out there. A successful coyote management program incorporating animal welfare was instilled in Oakville, Ontario in Canada. Oakville has encountered the same problems with coyotes as did Long Beach, from coyotes roaming near schools to pets being attacked, and necessitated the development of their own coyote management plan. As we shall see, the elements of the program are very similar. However, there are fundamental changes. Education is done on a regular basis. Monthly classes and workshops are given to the municipality to both adults and children, and staff members are also included. There, the focus is not only on preventative measures, but it also about the importance of the coyote to the ecosystem and the benefit it brings to the whole system as a whole. Bylaws created by the town to mitigate the situation are also introduced. For instance, a residence that feeds the coyote on public land incurs a fine of up to $5,000. Residents also help enforce these bylaws by reporting their neighbors who are intentionally or unintentionally feeding the coyotes and reporting unusual encounters. Thus, staff members can address situations before they escalate. In cases where situations do escalate and there is conflict, a protocol response is in place that allows the staff to respond in a uniform and consistent manner. We can see that lethal measures are not taken. For instance, if a pet is being attacked, it is reported to the staff members, where they initiate a hazing response and also explain to the town that there is no, although it is a very unfortunate event, it is still, the laws are in place to make sure that the pets should be unleashed and that it shouldn't happen again. Also, if the coyote is exhibiting an aggressive behavior, it should also instigate a widespread hazing program in the town and they start to do the investigation as to the cause of what caused the aggressive behavior in the first place. For instance, usually it is either sick or injured coyotes that are showing aggressiveness, and then efforts are made to capture the coyote and bring it to a rehabilitation center instead of just giving up and killing it. So how does this program compare to that of Long Beach's? As we've shown, this program is focused on a clear education and clear response plan. So for instance, we discussed this with Donna Doyle, the creator of the program, and we saw that through strong collaboration with NGOs and volunteers, this program can cost up to $5,000 a year, which is not a lot if we think about it. It's very little. In addition, this program is effective as as Lisa said, it incorporates the change of human behavior through education, and it does not just result to killing. Studies have shown us that coyotes usually shy away from humans, and if they are not fed or intentionally attracted, these conflict situations do not result. Moreover, this program is politically supported. Donna Doyle explained that up to 50% of the people who were pro-killing were against it upon receiving more information about the species and about their part in the conservation efforts. And also, of course, this program does incorporate ethical considerations. So we can see that this program does incorporate animal welfare without neglecting conservation needs. Let's just go back to Blondie. Blondie was very lucky to be an Oakville resident. Upon receiving a complaint about her growling at a student, municipality within the town, the staff members decided to do a community outreach to tell them to stop feeding, repair any breaks in the premises of the school, if there were fence breaks, and also instigated a hazing program. Moreover, they started to investigate into the causes of her aggressive behavior. Thanks to the online monitoring system, they were able to understand that in the months prior to the incidents, people were feeding her. High schoolers were feeding her consistently, making her come to the town every day at 12:30 p.m. And then they understood that if they changed her behavior fundamentally, that would solve the problem. And indeed, hazing did solve the problem, and Blondie learned to stay away. So we have shown you two very different policies that while the overall success of this program is still to be shown statistically, because these programs are very young and it will take time until we have these results, there are qualitative measures of success that we know about. And these are that the town, we did interviews with residents of the towns, and we also read newspaper articles, and we saw that while Long Beach's residents were very frustrated, those of Oakville were quite happy with the plan, allowing it to proceed for the last few years. So in conclusion, if we wanted to create a compassionate policy, what we need to do, the first step, is to recognize that animals are sentient beings and thus deserve moral consideration. And then we could incorporate animal welfare through the design of innovative solutions into policies. And what we ultimately need to understand is that we are managing humans and not wildlife. Thank you very much.